Council gets ready to crunch the numbers, where the preliminary budget is earmarking taxpayers' dollars. The Humboldt Broncos roll up their sleeves, the life-saving challenge being put to Canadians. And from backup to team center, the Huskies quarterback that has a chance to make a big difference on the field.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. Saskatoon is out with its preliminary budget for the next 2 years, which sets the stage for multiple days of difficult discussions at the end of the month. As Keenan Sorokon reports, Council has some tough work ahead of them to avoid a steep hike.
The city has released its budget, where inflation, population growth, and policing continue to put pressure on a city council hoping for a modest increase to property taxes.
This is not administration's wish list budget. It's what we think is the minimum cost to maintain the services we have today.
After forecasting a property tax increase just shy of 10% in June, administration has whittled that number down to 8.23%, which translates to an additional $16 a month for the average home. 8.23% would be the largest property tax increase in Saskatoon's history. Over the summer, councillors asked administration to get that number down to as low as 4.9%, but administration is leaving the hard work up to council with more than 100 ways to get there if they want.
It's certainly possible, but there'll be implications to many of those decisions on service levels and risks that we would need to take in order to achieve that.
Don't forget, last year the city moved utilities off of property taxes and onto its own bill, and those rates are expected to increase about 5% as well. The police service isn't helping the goal to 5%, with an increase of more than 8% to its own budget, down from its original ask of over 10%. Some new hires were put off, as well as other spending items, but nearly $200 million will be spent in the next 2 years on overhauling Saskatoon's water treatment plant. With 3 days scheduled, Hack warned budget deliberations might take longer if council needs the time.
It's going to take what it needs to take to find that right balance.
Between 2021 and 2024, the city grew by roughly the population of Moose Jaw, with another 9,000 people expected this year. City Council will now spend multiple days trying to balance servicing that growth with an affordable property tax increase. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A survey of Saskatoon residents shows homelessness, crime, and safety are among the key issues people are concerned about. The survey shows 78% of respondents said the city should allocate more resources to address homelessness, but 63% said the funding should not just come from municipal governments, but rather federal and provincial as well. When it comes to crime, 82% of respondents said they felt the level of crime in Saskatoon was high. Meanwhile, 58% of people said they feel somewhat or very safe, with drugs, assaults, gangs, and homeless encampments being their main concerns. Despite these significant concerns, 82% of respondents said they were satisfied overall with their quality of services provided by the city. The survey was conducted online among 398 randomly selected residents between July 11th and September 2nd. It has a margin of error of 4.91%, 19 times out of 20. The Supreme Court says it will hear appeals in a challenge of the Saskatchewan government's school pronoun law. The law prevents children under the age of 16 from changing their pronouns or names at school without the consent of their parents. Premier Scott Moe's government invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause in the 2023 legislation. A Regina LGBTQ2S+ group says the rule causes irreparable harm to gender-diverse youth. The government argues parents should be involved in their children's decision at school. Earlier this year, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal ruled the group's challenge can continue.
It's good. We asked for them to hear the appeal, and they're going to hear it. So we'll see what the result of that is.
Section 33 is there for that elected government to exercise with their discretion to allow them to pass laws that may otherwise be in contravention of charter rights. It's not there for judicial interpretation. It's there for democratic use.
Both sides of the challenge are asking the Supreme Court to hear the case alongside a challenge of a Quebec law that prevents public sector workers from wearing religious symbols on the job, given Quebec also invoked the notwithstanding clause on that policy. A hearing date has not been set at this point. UR Pride said in a statement this marks the beginning of a national conversation that will make history. Saskatchewan's education minister says he is confident the province will be able to sign an extension on its daycare deal with Ottawa by the end of the year.
We want to make sure that we make some improvements on the existing deals. So the current childcare agreements have brought a number of benefits to families, to communities, and to the entire childcare sector. But we identified in terms of some of the feedback that we've been hearing from people, some changes that need to be made. So we're trying to negotiate those, and I won't get into a lot of the finer details, but just as an example, like one of the things I'd asked about was for kids that turn age 6 and technically age out of the program, it's different here than it is in, say, for example, Manitoba, where their age out is at age 7. So that was kind of a common sense thing as one example that we wanted to get changed, but there's some other things there that we think would benefit Saskatchewan families and the child.
Everett Hinley said he had a virtual meeting with the minister responsible for the file, Patty Hajdu, on Friday about $10 a day childcare for Saskatchewan. The current deal is set to expire at the end of March. The Saskatchewan Party will vote this weekend on a proposal restricting full party membership to Canadian citizens. It would exclude those with permanent residency only from voting on party matters. The change would align with election voting eligibility, but opposition critics are calling it discriminatory. Wade Mantika reports.
A change in party membership rules will be one of the more controversial topics debated this weekend when the Saskatchewan Party holds its annual convention in Saskatoon. If passed, only Canadian citizens could vote on matters like party candidate selection and leadership.
It's mirroring and aligning with Election Saskatchewan on who can vote in an election in the province.
The Premier doesn't know what prompted the proposal or if he will support it.
This is a motion that comes from the grassroots of the very party. It's not a motion that myself or any elected member really brings, and I can be thankful that we do have a grassroots.
The party also proposes to restrict decision-making to those of voting age. The NDP was quick to offer an opinion.
Especially when people come to this province and they call this place their home. And when they are wanted to involve at grassroots level politics, I think that will be really discouraging.
Scott Moe will also face his first leadership review since the Saskatchewan Party won the 2024 election with a reduced majority. Moe says he would like to stay on as leader through the next election.
It's my intent, and that's my intent to certainly, work as hard as ever, not only with the MLAs that we have here and candidates in the lead up to the next election, but to work hard with, so many volunteers across the province, many that are going to be in our convention this weekend, and we're looking forward to it.
A Saskatchewan Party leader needs 50% support in order to retain their position. But in practice, it's generally higher than that. With anything less than overwhelming support, a leader would have to make their own decision on whether to stay or go, although there could be added leeway coming off an election win. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Well, Jeff, I thought we were going to get away with no flakes falling today, but I guess
well, we got a little something, but it's not a big dump of snow, and it certainly wasn't a day-long event here in Saskatoon. Other parts of the province have been dealing with snow throughout the day. I know Prince Albert basically started snowing around 6 a.m. when Mother Nature threw in some light freezing rain at the same time. So a bit of a messy situation, but pretty much the track we expect, like down sort of towards the Yellowhead into Manitoba, and another Alberta Clipper is going to come through, but a bit more of a southerly track, so it may not be as impactful for Saskatoon, but points south, a different story, and we'll talk about that later on.
RCMP are investigating the cause of a crash north of Saskatoon that sent one person to hospital. This was the scene on Highway 12 north of Saskatoon. A crash between a minivan and a front-end loader left the van heavily damaged. It happened at about 11 o'clock this morning. RCMP say the driver of the minivan was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the front-end loader was not injured. Now to the case of a man on trial for murder. In a recorded interview obtained by CTV News, he admits to an investigator he has a history of lying. He's also heard changing his story about what happened the night his girlfriend died. CTV's Laura Woodward explains.
You were being charged with a second-degree murder.
The day after his girlfriend, 20-year-old Nikira Brown, was shot and killed in their apartment, Andrew Rosenfeld is questioned by police for a second time.
I just want you to tell the truth. That's it.
Rosenfeld tells Detective Sergeant Rob Sampson that two people broke in and shot Brown.
I heard a bang. I got up, and two people running out the door.
It's the same story he tells 911.
124, please, officer. Somebody just shot my girlfriend. Please hurry.
Somebody just what?
Shot my girlfriend. Please hurry.
124 Avenue P, like
124, please, out, yeah.
Okay, and did you see who shot her?
Huh?
Did you see who shot her?
No, they're messed up. Hurry up, please.
But when police tell Rosenfeld there's no surveillance video supporting a break-in, Rosenfeld changes his story.
I still want to believe it. You know, I still want to believe it that she shot herself. You know, I just made up something in my head to be, you know.
His account of who pulled the trigger has shifted, but he maintains it wasn't him.
I'm going to ask you straight up right now. Did you shoot Nikira?
No.
Court heard Brown was involved in a street gang, and on the night she died, she was planning to go on a mission to punish a fellow member. Rosenfeld says they argued about that, and earlier about his dating profiles.
And I told her, babe, I don't even use those anymore.
Police found a gun hidden in the box spring of the couple's bed with the scope and bolt removed, found in this kitchen cabinet.
Do you recognize that? Have you ever seen that firearm before?
No.
Okay.
About a minute later, his answer changes.
Did you or did you not handle that firearm last night?
Yes.
A 30-second pause can be heard on Rosenfeld's call to 911.
Hello? Hello?
Initially, Rosenfeld says during that silence, he was checking in on Brown. He later says that's when he hid the gun.
And my body just told me, like, hey, you gotta get rid of this, you gotta hide it.
Rosenfeld says he has a history of lying.
The disorder or something, I'm not sure, where I lie about situations and I don't know why I do it.
How can we be certain that you're not lying now, if that's the case?
Because I would never shoot anybody.
It's up to the Crown to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rosenfeld shot and killed Brown. The defense argues it was a suicide, calling 2 police officers to the stand, one who responded to a prior suicide attempt and another who testified that Brown herself called police wanting to go to the hospital. The trial continues next week with closing arguments. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Family and supporters packed a Regina courtroom today as a man accused in a deadly shooting on a Saskatchewan highway was back before a judge. Chris Fallman appeared by video for a bail hearing, which will resume tomorrow afternoon. Fallman is charged with manslaughter and other gun-related charges in connection to the September 12th shooting of Tanya Myers. She was riding in an SUV near Weyburn when she was struck. She died of her injuries. Closing arguments were held in a drug trafficking trial at Court of King's Bench in Prince Albert. 28-year-old Tyler Bear was arrested in Prince Albert in July of 2023 following a police pursuit. He faces several charges, including possession with intent to distribute, which he has pleaded not guilty to. During the trial, police said prior to his arrest, Bear had been carrying a backpack containing more than 30 individual bags of methamphetamine, along with a scale, more than $1,000 cash, 2 cell phones, a loaded gun and ammunition. Today, court heard the Crown suggest the quantity of meth found in the bag indicated intent to distribute, while the defense argued that the contents of the bag were not proven to be intended for distribution. The judge is expected to release his decision November 26th. The Humboldt Broncos are teaming up off the ice to donate blood and help save lives. As Stacey Hine tells us, it's part of a national campaign to encourage blood donations.
These hockey players don't just have ice in their veins. The Humboldt Broncos are taking part in the Fall Get-Together Challenge, a national campaign that encourages group blood donations. And this team is turning it into a fun way to bond off the ice.
The unique team bonding, we don't get to do much off the ice, so I think this is something that really gets the guys together.
It's awesome. Seeing all the guys' different reactions to it is pretty funny and it makes a good time.
The Broncos head coach says, along with team building, it's a way to honor the life-saving role blood donation played after the 2018 bus crash.
There were so many people that helped out during that crash time that we got to do our part now, you know, and it's no matter what, that's never going to change.
Blood donation has become a tradition the Broncos proudly continue.
It's such a privilege to play for the Broncos, and this is a big tradition, especially after the 2018 team and that tragedy. So I think it's really important to honor those guys and represent our organization in that sense.
Canadian Canadian Blood Services says the team's donation helps inspire others to give blood, something that's vital in saving lives.
There is no substitute for blood. Donated blood only lasts 42 days. So imagine going to your fridge and needing your fridge refilled. That's the way it is. But the difference is patients' lives depend on this. So we have to have blood.
CBS says about 5,000 appointments need to be filled each month in Saskatchewan to meet hospital demand, and is encouraging the public to consider donating. And for anyone feeling nervous, one player says there's nothing to worry about.
They make it pretty comforting here, and it doesn't cause any nerves at all.
Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A reminder, nominations are open for the Saskatoon Citizen of the Year Award presented by CTV. The Citizen of the Year Award is given each year to an individual who exemplifies excellence in community service and is making a difference in our community. To find out how to nominate that special someone, guides are available here at CTV Saskatoon or on our website. The deadline to submit your nomination is Friday, December 5th, and we will announce this year's recipient on December 31st. Still to come, turbulence at American airports, what that could mean for Canadian travelers. Also, the Ostrich appeal, what the Supreme Court has ruled in the case of a BC farmer. You're watching CTV News Live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are among 40 American cities slashing airline capacity, a slowdown in flight traffic that begins tomorrow and could affect Canadian travelers. It's the result of a government shutdown that's now the longest in U.S. history. Heather Wright on the ripple effect expected through Canadian systems.
It's a standard Thursday at Canada's largest airport, but travelers are bracing for turbulence.
It's really unfortunate.
Transportation officials in the United States plan to slash air traffic by 10% at 40 major airports, including New York, Washington, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Reductions set to begin Friday. The Federal Aviation Administration and U.S. Transportation Department say traffic reduction is necessary to ease pressure on air traffic controllers and security screening agents who have been working without pay during the 36-day U.S. government shutdown.
If I was working, I sure as hell wouldn't want to be working without any pay.
This has worsened staff shortages, caused widespread flight delays and long security lines at American airports. And since many Canadian travelers are bound for U.S. destinations, both passengers and carriers here are expected to feel the pinch.
They're not exempt from this reduction. They will be affected by it. And the question is going to be, what does that mean?
WestJet says so far their operations have not been impacted. We are continuing to monitor the situation and proactively manage our operations to minimize any potential disruptions going forward. While Air Canada says we are monitoring the situation and awaiting more details. Adding, for customers who may be connecting onto U.S. domestic flights operated by our partner United Airlines, we have put in place a goodwill policy to allow them to change or defer their travel with no change fee. Experts warn even domestic flights could be impacted. For example, a flight from Toronto to Vancouver spends about half of its flight in U.S. airspace. Now, carriers could opt to fly through Canadian skies to avoid any disruptions, but that would add another hour to the length of that flight. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
The Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by a BC ostrich farm to stop a call order to euthanize its flock. The decision ends a months-long legal road for the farm that has since sparked a debate over accusations of government overreach. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
You want to know what pain looks like, Canada? The end of a saga that began last December when dozens of birds died on the Universal Ostrich Farm. She's going to lose everything she's ever loved for 35 years. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency found traces of H5N1 in 2 dead birds and ordered the flock to be culled to contain the virus. The farm fought the order to the Supreme Court, which dismissed the case.
We obviously are pleased to see the decision
decision of the Supreme Court. This is a decision that is following the science and evidence.
More than 300 birds will now be euthanized. Virologists say testing the birds is not an option.
There's really no practical way to actually test these birds. We don't know where the birds might be shedding virus if they are indeed still infected. These are 7 to 9 foot tall birds that are very strong, very fast, very dangerous to people.
Under the Health of Animals Act, the CFIA can now move ahead with depopulation and disposal and warns that attempts to obstruct the work of its officers could result in prosecution. Dozens of protesters continue their march.
Today you test our faith like you've never tested our faith before.
Praying for a change of heart. The farm was supported by members of the Trump administration, including Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Chief of Medicare Dr. Mehmet Oz. An American billionaire also contributed $50,000 to the farm's legal fight and is asking Prime Minister Mark Carney to intervene.
I am asking for sympathy and I'm asking for common sense to prevail.
This culling of poultry or stamping out policy that the CFIA is carrying out is an international standard that numerous nations have signed on to, including the U.S. The aim is to contain outbreaks. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Another Conservative has quit caucus. This time, it's an MP from Alberta. Matt Jeaneroux has been the MP for Edmonton Riverbend since 2015. In a letter today, he announced he is resigning, saying it was not an easy decision, but the right one. Earlier this week, a Conservative MP from Nova Scotia crossed the floor to join the Liberals. In Washington, Donald Trump says his administration will have to come up with a plan B if the Supreme Court rules against those tariffs against Canada and other countries.
We thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a Game 2 plan. We'll see what happens. The numbers we have.
If the court rejects the tariffs, the U.S. president has plenty of other options. He can reuse tariff powers deployed in his first term, or he could cite a section of the Trade Act that allows the U.S. to counter what it sees as unfair trade practices. Earlier this year, 2 lower courts and a federal appeals court ruled that the emergency law Trump invoked doesn't give him unlimited power to set tariffs. Prince Harry is apologizing to Canada for wearing an LA Dodgers hat during the World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays. He spoke with CTV's John Venevali-Rao about the controversy in this exclusive interview during his visit to Toronto today.
Oh, the LA Dodgers hatgate. Well, firstly, I would like to apologize to Canada for wearing it. Secondly, I was under duress. There wasn't much choice. I was invited to the LA Dodgers box, or the dugout, by the owner himself, so I was doing what I thought was the polite thing to do. But I'm going to wear this from now on to make sure I don't make any more of those mistakes. But the other piece to this was, as you could probably relate, when you're missing a lot of hair on top and you're sitting under floodlights, you'll take any hat that's available. So Game 5, Game 6, Game 7, I was Blue Jays throughout. Now that I've admitted that, it's going to be really hard for me to return back to Los Angeles.
And here is what all the fuss was about. Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, were both seen wearing the Dodgers ball cap at a World Series game in Los Angeles last week, and that sparked the online backlash by Canadian fans.
Hi, I'm Matthew and I sing with the Saskatoon Chamber Singers. Please join us on Remembrance Day at 3 p.m. at Knox United Church for a beautiful Remembrance Day program with many fantastic, great guest artists. If you would like to get tickets, go to saskatoonchambersingers.ca or come in person, and we have student pricing as well. So, Jeff, what's the weather going to be?
Well, Matthew, things are looking very pleasant for Remembrance Day on Tuesday, so that's good news. People shouldn't get, the weather won't be keeping them away from Knox United Church. Of course, that's on Spadina, basically Spadina and 24th. 3 p.m. is when the concert is. Again, that's on Remembrance Day, and it's called Still Bravely Singing. 6 degrees for a daytime high, way above seasonal numbers, so good weather for Remembrance Day services and observances. -1 degree right now, some light flurries in Saskatoon, -3 with those flurries that ongoing flurries in Prince Albert, and a similar situation for the Battlefords. The Battlefords and PA have had a lot more in the way of snow and precipitation than Saskatoon, but as we make our way into the evening hours, things are going to start backing off. More on that later. Today's high in Saskatoon, this was around 11 a.m. That was 4 degrees, but the temperature's been dropping throughout the afternoon. 2 degrees, I think obviously the low is right now -1. 2 degrees is typical, 17 the record from 2009, a very cold, and -27 in 1991. Second day in a row, the record is from 1991. The sun came up at 8:11, and it went down at 5:29.
Coming up, from backup to starting quarterback, how one Huskies player is hoping to lead his team to victory.
Is the color, West final is the game. Friday on Your Morning, we are teeing up the Riders' home playoff game against the BC Lions with Rough Rider historian Rob Vanstone.
All righty, here we go as we take a look at the obscured lens of Skycam, because there's snow out there caking on the lens, and yes, if you're leaving and doing some things tonight, you are going to need a snow brush to clear off your windshield, because it's going to be kind of messy out there. So that's what we're dealing with right now. Let's take a look at the satellite and radar shot here. A lot of active weather on Canada's west coast. Now, this is going to calm down for probably Friday, but then more rain and snow for the higher elevations, but more precipitation for Canada's west coast, particularly the north coast and farther up. And then another system, another low clipper system is going to slide across and go a little further south than what we had today. And then in behind it, some colder air. And yes, check your picks for you NFL fans, because the cold air may go as far south as places down in the southern states. So you never know how that's going to affect things. And on Canada's east coast, some nasty conditions, particularly in Newfoundland. Again, they've already got hit by the remnants of Melissa and a secondary storm thereafter. So some interesting weather situations across the province. I'll get out of the way here and we'll take a look at these numbers. -1 in Saskatoon and the Battlefords, -3 in Prince Albert, and it continues to snow in all 3 locations. The hot spot, well, that was Maple Creek at 16. Stony Rapids, the cold spot, on -21. Brr. Around the province we go right now. It is -2 in Lloydminster, 4 in Swift Current, 5 in Regina, 9 in Estevan, 0 in Yorkton. Into central parts of the province, again, some of these places are dealing with snow right now. Waskesiu, -4 degrees. It gets as warm as 1 on the plus side. That's in Kindersley, but most locations sort of hanging around the 0 or -1 degree mark. Up north, it drops off significantly. Temperatures in the mid-minus teens for Stony Rapids, Key Lake, and Collins Bay. -10 in Sandy Bay, Island Falls. Not much warmer in South End. -6 in Buffalo Narrows. -7 in La Ronge. Down south, 10 in East End and Coronach. 9 in Maple Creek. But look at that, -25 in Weyburn. I think that might be a glitch. I'm going out on a limb here, folks. 9 degrees in Carlisle, 0 in Melville, 1 in Outlook. Yeah, -25, I don't think so. All right, as you take a look at the futurecast, you can see that second low pressure center, that Alberta clipper sliding in through southern Alberta. It's going to be a windy day in southern Alberta, along with the rain and the snow. And then that precipitation moves into Saskatchewan, but it looks like it will be south of Saskatoon. All right, let's take a look and see what we've got going on for tomorrow. -6 in La Ronge and Buffalo Narrows, -10 in Stony Rapids, -8 in Key Lake. We've got a mix of sky conditions for west central Saskatchewan. Temperatures of around -7 for Meadow Lake and Spiritwood, -1 with snow in Kindersley, flurries in Rosetown, and 0. We've got ourselves snow in Leader and Swift Current, 1 degree, flurries and Outlook with 1, and then 8 degrees in Maple Creek, and that precipitation is gonna be rain. We've got ourselves flurries in Regina, Moose Jaw and Estevan, a bit more substantive snowfall, but temperatures around 1 or 2 degrees, but -4 under cloudy skies in Yorkton, and cloudy in Melfort, Watrous, and Humboldt. 7 on the minus side for Melfort, -2 in Watrous, Humboldt -6, and then -7 for Hudson Bay with mainly sunny skies. And now on to our detailed forecast. The flurries are ending for the Battlefords, -8, but not really warming up for tomorrow. Cloudy skies and -6, staying at -6 on Saturday, -1 on Sunday, so back to seasonal. And then plus temperatures Monday through Thursday, and that includes Remembrance Day. For Prince Albert, an overnight temperature temperature of -13 with the flurries tapering off. Mainly cloudy skies on Friday, -7, -6 on Saturday, -3 on Sunday, just a hair below seasonal, but plus temperature starting on Monday, 6 for Remembrance Day, and Saskatoon, an overnight temperature of -8, 2 centimeters of snow in addition to what we're getting right now. Chantel's not happy about that, sorry. Breezy conditions, and then it continues to be breezy tomorrow with cloudy skies, but no snow, -2 degrees for a high, so a little bit below seasonal, -5 on Saturday, but 0 on Sunday, 8 degrees on Monday, and Remembrance Day, mainly cloudy and 7 degrees. Mea culpa, habeas corpus, and pro bono are all on trial as Saskatoon Soap's improv comedy presents the legal Laugh-O-Rama, Disorder in the Court, Friday, 8 o'clock at the Broadway Theatre.
McDonald's, can I take your order?
L'employé ne parle pas français. Mon père s'indigne.
I don't see what you mean. English is a universal language. This is no government job.
Parlez Mal from Moncton's Théâtre Gauche centers on linguistic insecurity. 3 shows only, and the play is presented with English surtitles. For tickets, contact Le Troupe du Jour. Friday is almost sold out.
Evangelical pop culture can be really strange to those who didn't grow up with it. And recognizing that the culture you grew up in seems strange to others makes you ask questions.
Burnt Thicket Theatre Company is winding up its current tour of My Little Plastic Jesus. The final show is in Saskatoon on Friday night. Saturday evening, The Highwayman Show, Great American Outlaws Tribute Concert, is live on stage at the Broadway Theatre. Originally from Saskatoon, Bede Hanley is the featured artist at the Saskatoon Symphony's True North concert, celebrating Canadian music, including this piece by Toronto's Gary Kalesha. Even though its players come from some of Canada's best-known musical acts, they call themselves the worst pop band ever, and they're performing Saturday night at the Basement. Daryl Anderson returns to Bud's on Broadway for a show on Saturday night starting at 10 o'clock. Seen here in rehearsal, Saskatoon summer players are soon to open The Wedding Singer, the musical adaptation of the Adam Sandler comedy. It runs from November 13th to 16th at the Broadway Theatre.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day, and as you say, it's all about critters.
It's all about the critters. All right, let's start off with this one. Yes, indeed. Well, this is from Greg. I don't think any recent event has brought Canadians together from coast to coast as much as the Blue Jays' quest for the World Series. And any sport that involves a ball also gets our dog Rio's support. So that's good. And yes, he's right about the national fervor that we had. And yeah, outside of the Olympics and hockey, I think you're right about that, Greg. Thank you for sharing that image. And from Beth, a pileated woodpecker came for a visit today. I thought I'd share this with you, and I'm glad you did, Beth. Love to see Woody Woodpecker doing his thing out there. And finally, from Arden, the little weasel wanted to go hot tubbing this morning. Well, you know what? Thank you, Sheriff, for sharing that, Arden. And really, I can't blame the weasel. I was out for a walk this morning, and a hot tub would have been good. So anyways, thank you for sharing those critter images. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can certainly do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca, or you can scan the QR code to find out how you can send us those images.
Still to come on CTV News, the Huskies head for the Hardy Cup. We'll look at the player who went from backup to starting quarterback and is hoping to lead the team to a win. He made his first start for the Huskies only a month ago. Now he may have a chance to lead them to a Hardy Cup championship. Matt Young has more on one Huskies quarterback.
super grateful to be in this position, especially being in the Hard Cup this weekend.
He's got a man open and Weed, and he's got it for the touchdown.
It's not the way Jake Farrell expected the season to unfold, going from the backup quarterback in week 1 to starting in October, and now a chance to potentially start this weekend and lead his team to a conference championship.
Yeah, it'd be big. I mean, anytime, just to be on this team in general is a big deal to me. But to lead my guys to a Hardy Cup win this weekend it'd be awesome.
He's a competitor. I've said this before. He's got moxie. I don't know how else quite to say it. There's an internal compete and a drive there.
Farrell came into the starting role mid-season after Anton Amadrid, who began the year with MVP-like numbers, became sidelined because of an injury. A bit of a theme for the Huskies this season, who've had to make several changes to the depth chart this year.
Injuries can sometimes have a funny effect on a team, and how you respond. But our veteran leadership has been just steadfast, and those guys, they don't worry about anything. They just love playing the game, and who's ever in there, we got complete trust and faith in that they're going to get the job done.
A testament to the coaching staff as well, says Flory, which includes former Husky quarterback Mason Nias, who Farrell credits for helping him prepare for the moment.
He's unreal. Obviously, him being a quarterback here a few years ago has been unbelievable. Like, just the knowledge he gives me and the coaching he gives me, it's great in my preparation for the game. And this season long, I feel like I've gotten so much better under his coaching.
Farrell says a lot of success is owed to strong play from his O-line and receivers. But one question, is he feeling the pressure as the Huskies go deeper into the playoffs?
No. I think just playing Husky football and relying on the game plan and the guys around me.
There's nothing I'm going to say to that kid that's going to be some magic pill to do anything with any of our players. We prepare for this moment all season long.
Kickoff for the Hardy Cup between the Regina Rams and Saskatchewan Huskies is 2 o'clock on Saturday at Griffith Stadium. Matt Young, CTV News, Saskatoon.
When we come back, when budget spending to key government organizations gets slashed, what it means for you. And later, celebrating Rider Pride in Saskatchewan.
All right, let's take a look and see what's going on with our weather situation here in rural Saskatchewan for Friday. Temperatures on the minus side. These are below seasonal temperatures, no doubt about it, but we've got ourselves -1 for Kindersley, still expecting some snow. Snow starting to back off a little bit in outlook, but on the plus side. Melfort -7, the same for Hudson Bay. Hudson Bay a bit more sunshine, but it doesn't pump up the temperature, that's for sure. -4 in Wynyard. But down south, well, that second low, the second Alberta Clipper comes on through, and you can see it's rain and snow. A lot of places, though, on the plus side of the thermometer, 0 degrees in Rosetown, and then some minus temperatures as we head towards the eastern border. So some places will be dealing with rain or snow or rain-snow mix. So a bit of a messy situation in southern Saskatchewan. So if your travel plans are taking you that way, please keep that in mind. You're going to have to start checking that highway hotline, so might as well start checking it tomorrow. And cloudy skies for Hague tomorrow, -6 degrees. Some people say Hague, some people say Hague. But we've got ourselves east 20. That was... Inside joke. East 20, gusting to 40 tomorrow, so -6 degrees. A pretty cool day, but things are warming up. And Hague is one of the places where 1 gig plans from SaskTel are available.
If the budget passes, aside from spending to stimulate the economy, are cuts to government agencies like Statistics Canada, which is responsible for collecting, analyzing, and disseminating data. CTV's Abigail Beeman looks into how anticipated slashing will affect that sector and you.
It really worries me.
Munir Sheikh resigned as Canada's chief statistician over the Harper government's 2010 decision to kill the long-form census. Today, he's concerned about new Statistics Canada cuts in the budget, saying Canada already has substantial data gaps, which will now multiply.
Cuts at an organization like Statistics Canada is an indication that our country is getting poorer, and we can't afford to do the things that are an absolute necessity.
Deep in the budget annex, under department-specific cuts, it reads, the frequency of data collection will be reduced where the requirements can be met through statistical modeling or other modern methods. In addition, adjustments will be made to the frequency and level of detail collected for data sets which demonstrate less relevance to Canadians. CTV News asked Statistics Canada and the Finance Department a whole slew of questions. What type of data will be collected collected less often, what will be collected with fewer details, and who decides what has less relevance for Canadians. They didn't answer any of them. In a statement, a Department of Finance official said further details on savings under the Comprehensive Expenditure Review will be available through Statistics Canada in due course.
Lack of information always makes me nervous.
Biostatistician Erica Moody says the work of Statistics Canada is critical, from government to business to community groups to your personal life, and less of it is worrying.
Cuts to these data or data collection, the fineness of this data collection could impact things like transit lines in my neighborhood. On the other side, as a researcher, it also affects the work done by my students.
Oh, and from our archives, among those in support of Statistics Canada during the long-form census death fiasco, then Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney.
We will need to evaluate the impact of any proposed changes.
The former head of Statistics Canada warns if the Canadian economy gets worse, even further and worse cuts to data are very possible. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
One of Canada's most active developers of legacy industrial properties has completed the acquisition of the former Prince Albert Pulp Mill. Ontario-based BMI Group, known for its work redefining how mill and manufacturing sites can attract new industries and investment, announced the purchase of the property yesterday. The property occupies more than 2,300 acres with more than 900,000 square feet of industrial building space, rail access, and up to 130 megawatts of available power. Both BMI and the Mayor of Prince Albert suggesting the facility will likely be repurposed to support the next generation of resource, energy, and bioeconomies. BMI did not announce the cost to purchase the former pulp mill. We have earnings reports from several big Canadian companies today, including Canadian Tire. Morella Fernandez with those details.
The retailer reported lower profit in its third quarter. Canadian Tire blames restructuring and other costs for the drop. The company's renovating stores and reorganizing its business, but sales are up at two other retail businesses it owns, Sport Chek and Mark's. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down a fraction to 70.84. West Texas Intermediate crude is down slightly to 59.43. Western Canadian Select also down over $1 to 48.07. And the TSX dropped another 234 points today to move back under 30,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon just under $1.28 a litre. The lowest price in town is $1.19.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco fell $6.98, and Nutrien finished the day up at $78.52. Coming up, a Saskatchewan woman honored with the Nelson Mandela Award. Then how Saskatchewan is encouraged to show its support for its team.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Get comfortable and settle in with these top shows all right here tonight on CTV.
911 Nashville. It's going to be Hillbilly Hurricane. Hooey!
So that's your favorite show then?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Saskatchewan woman has received a very prestigious honor. Brenda Reynolds, who is a member of the Fishing Lake Saulteaux First Nation, is a recipient of the United Nations Nelson Mandela Prize. The award is given to 2 recipients every 5 years. Reynolds is a social worker and had a major role in the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement. This prize was awarded on July 18th, Nelson Mandela's birthday, but today there was a special celebration at the Saskatchewan Legislature in her honor. So that is a nice one.
Congratulations, and very, very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, well, speaking of celebrating, Gaynor the Gopher joined Premier Scott Moe today for a very special announcement. Tomorrow has been proclaimed Green and White Day in the province. Saskatchewan residents are encouraged to wear green and white to cheer on the Rough Riders, who are playing the BC Lions in the Western Final on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium. Following the announcement, Moe and Gaynor took the celebrations outside to raise a flag at the Legislative Building in support of the Riders. The winner of Saturday's game will advance to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg on Sunday, November 16th.
All
that was a big pen.
What's that?
That was a big pen. That
Exactly. They're only used for special occasions.
Yeah.
It's like they break out the big pen for the big things.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I like his signature. It's great.
Yes, exactly. He's one talented gopher.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I guess I'll be wearing my green sneakers. That way I don't disappear on the green wall.
True. And boots and your green parka.
Well, it is going to be a cold day tomorrow, and won't be snowing, which is great news. It'll be a different situation in southern Saskatchewan. But here in Saskatoon at 9 a.m., -7 degrees, but it's going to be kind of breezy. So, yes, that -7 will feel colder. And the wind doesn't really back off until the afternoon, -3 degrees by the time we get to 5 o'clock under cloudy skies. So it's actually, warming up not too badly, but that's still a little bit below seasonal.
So, like, technically today was a transition day, and then, like, Sunday's a transition day. We've got so many of them.
Exactly. Well, it's a complicated situation, but it's getting warmer on Monday.
It's complicated.
How about that?
Yes. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.